20 life-changing homemaking secrets I learned from Farmer Boy, Part 1. Hi everyone, Jennifer here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. If you saw my video last week, I did 15 life-changing homemaking secrets from the Little House on the Prairie series, and I mentioned to you that I reserved Farmer Boy for its own video because there is so much homemaking inspiration in this book. This is my favorite out of the entire series. I just devoured it and I kept thinking about it, and this book really lives on with me. So Farmer Boy details the life of Laura Ingalls Wilder's husband, Almanzo Wilder, and there's just so much inspiration. I can't wait to share it with you. I actually have 20 life-changing homemaking lessons in this book, so I'm going to break up this video into two parts because I don't want it to be too long. So in part one, we're going to look at the first 10 homemaking secrets that I learned. Life-changing homemaking secret number 1. Homemaking traditions were very important to them. We're going to look at page 84 here in chapter 8, Sunday. It says, when Almanzo trudged into the kitchen next morning with 2 brimming milk pails, Mother was making stacked pancakes because this was Sunday. So notice how it says she was making pancakes because it was Sunday. So this indicates to me that they had pancakes every Sunday, that this was a tradition in their home, and it was something that they could all look forward to. This is a technique that I know a lot of us employ in our homes. A lot of people do Taco Tuesday or Meatless Monday or Fish Friday or something like that. And I think that it is a great idea because it gives the entire family something to look forward to, and it does anchor the week. So Almanzo looked forward to having pancakes every Sunday. Let's just read a little bit about the breakfast that they looked forward to. It says, the big blue platter on the stove's hearth was full of plump sausage cakes. Eliza Jane was cutting apple pies, and Alice was dishing up the oatmeal as usual. But the little blue platter stood hot on the back of the stove, and 10 stacks of pancakes rose in tall towers on it. 10 pancakes cooked on the smoking griddle, and as fast as they were done, Mother added another cake to each stack and buttered it lavishly and covered it with maple sugar. Butter and sugar melted together and soaked the fluffy pancakes and dripped all down their crisp edges. That was stacked pancakes. Almanzo liked them better than any other kind of pancakes. And it goes on to describe this breakfast, but how decadent does this sound? Also, take note that it says Alice was dishing up the oatmeal as usual. So again, these are routines, these are traditions that they had in their homemaking life. And this is great inspiration to incorporate weekly meal traditions in our own homes. Life-changing homemaking secret number 2. Everyone in the family kept busy. They worked hard and had a very strong work ethic. Okay, let's have a look at page 85. This takes off where we just ended with the pancakes. It says, Mother kept on frying them till the others had eaten their oatmeal. She could never make too many stacked pancakes. They all ate pile after pile of them, and Almanzo was still eating when Mother pushed back her chair and said, Mercy on us, 8 o'clock, I must fly. Mother always flew. Her feet went pattering. Her hands moved so fast you could hardly watch them. She never sat down in the daytime except at her spinning wheel or loom, and then her hands flew, her feet tapped. The spinning wheel was a blur, or the loom was clattering. Thump, thud, clackety-clack. But on Sunday morning, she made everybody else hurry too. So that is a description of his mother. She always kept busy. She was always doing something. She was always basically the life of the household, in everything, doing everything. But she wasn't the only one. It says here on that same page, Father curried and brushed the sleek brown driving horses till they shone. Almanzo dusted the sleigh, and Royal wiped the silver-mounted harnesses. They hitched up the horses, and then they went to the house to put on their Sunday clothes. So the whole book describes how everybody keeps pretty busy in this household. I don't think Almanzo's parents would have stood for anyone being lazy on a regular basis, so that's just the impression that I got there. Life-changing homemaking secret number 3, they took off an entire day to do the house cleaning. All of them, men, women, boys, and girls. Let's have a look here at page 117 from the chapter, The Turn of the Year. "That's pretty good," Mother said, beaming. They all felt happy, but later, Mother said, "Well, now that's off our hands. We'll start house cleaning tomorrow, bright and early." Almanzo hated house cleaning. He had to pull up carpet tracks all around the edges of miles of carpet when the carpets were hung on clotheslines outdoors, and he had to beat them with a long stick. When he was little, he had run under the carpets playing they were tents, but now he was 9 years old. He had to beat those carpets without stopping till no more dust would come out of them. Everything in the house was moved, everything was scrubbed and scoured and polished. All the curtains were down, all the feather beds were outdoors, airing, and the blankets and quilts were washed. From dawn to dark, Almanzo was running, pumping water, fetching wood, spreading clean straw on the scrubbed floors, and then helping to stretch the carpets over it, and then tacking all those edges down again. So this describes the very rigorous house cleaning routine that they had. And this is not a daily routine. This appears to be something that they did maybe once or twice a year. Think spring cleaning or fall, winter cleaning. And so this is a very heavy duty house cleaning, and they took off an entire day to do it. That's evidenced by Almanzo's mother saying that we'll start house cleaning tomorrow bright and early, and it said that Almanzo worked from dawn until dusk. So it seems that this is a wonderful idea for all of us. I know your kids might not think so, but if every single person in the family took one day every quarter or so of the year and you scrub the house from top to bottom and just really give it a very deep clean, think about how wonderful that would be and how it would lift the burden off the homemaker solely to just do all that work. So I think that it's a wonderful idea and definitely something that I want to implement in my own home life. Homemaking secret number 4, sometimes the house cleaning ritual went on for days and days. Let's continue to read there on page 118. Days and days he spent in the cellar. He helped Royal empty the vegetable bins. They sorted out every spoiled apple and carrot and turnip and put back the good ones into a few bins that Mother had scrubbed. They looked down the other bins and stored them in the woodshed. They carried out crocks and jars and jugs till the cellar was almost empty. Then Mother scrubbed the walls and floor. Royal poured water into pails of lime, and Almanzo stirred the lime till it stopped boiling and was whitewashed. Then they whitewashed the whole cellar. That was fun. The whole cellar was fresh and clean and snow white when it dried. Mother moved her milk pans down to the scrub shelves. The butter tubs were scoured white with sand and dried in the sun, and Almanzo set them in a row on the clean cellar floor to be filled with the summer's butter. Outdoors, the lilacs and the snowball bushes were in bloom. Violets and buttercups were blossoming in the green pastures. Birds were building their nests, and it was time to work in the fields. So here you see it describes the house cleaning as going on for days and days. So it appears to me that sometimes the house cleaning would just take one entire day depending on the work that needed to be done, and sometimes it went on for days and days. And this is a very thorough cleaning. It sounds like Almanzo and his brother were in charge of the cellar, or basically the pantry if we were to think about it in our own homes. If you don't have a cellar, and they just went in all the food, got rid of the expired food. Their mother scrubbed out the barrels. I mean, they really got in there and cleaned this house. And yes, sometimes it lasted days and days. I think that we're usually afraid to interrupt our usual schedule in order to take care of these homemaking needs that have to be met. But we could take encouragement from Farmer Boy and realize that sometimes that's just what needs to be done. Life-changing homemaking tip number 5. When you wear an apron, that means some serious work is about to occur. Let's have a look at the chapter County Fair. It says, early in the frosty morning, they all set out for the fair. All of them were dressed up in their Sunday clothes, except Mother. She wore her second best and took an apron, for she was going to help with the church dinner. Page 261 goes on to describe the dinner that they were making. The church dining room was already crowded. Every place at the long table was taken, and Eliza Jane and Alice were hurrying with the other girls who were bringing loaded plates from the kitchen. All the delicious smells made Almanzo's mouth water. Father went into the kitchen, and so did Almanzo. It was full of women, hurriedly slicing boiled hams and roasts of beef, and carving roast chickens and dishing up vegetables. Mother opened the oven of a huge cook stove and took out roast turkeys and ducks. This just goes to show the enormous task that these ladies had in front of them. All of the food they were cooking, all of the meals that they were preparing for this crowd at the fair. And so Almanzo's mother wore her second best dress and her apron in order to do this work. Life-changing homemaking secret number 6, bath time was only once a week. I'm kidding, that's not the homemaking secret. I thought that was pretty funny, but it relates to this. Life-changing homemaking secret number 6 was that parents had a high standard of cleanliness for their children and made sure that they knew how to groom themselves well. Yes, it is true that back then they only took a bath once a week. This might sound gross to any children or younger people who are watching this, but if you really think about it, they did not have running water in their homes like we do. It's not so easy to just pour a bath. So they took a bath once a week. I believe that's also what the Ingalls family did in the Little House books. And so this describes Almanzo's bath time routine, and it took place every Saturday night. So let's have a look at it. Then Almanzo was left alone in the kitchen to take his bath. So they took a bath in the kitchen. His clean underwear was hanging on a chair back to air and warm. The washcloth and towel and the small wooden pannikin of soft soap were on another chair. He brought another wash tub from the woodshed and put it on the floor in front of the open door. He took off his waist and one pair of socks and his pants. Then he dipped some warm water from the tub on the stove into the tub on the floor. He took off his other pair of socks and his underwear, and his bare skin felt good in the heat from the oven. He toasted in the heat, and he thought he just might put on his clean underwear and not take a bath at all. But Mother would look when he went into the dining room. So this indicates that he knew that after he took a bath, and keep in mind, he is a 9-year-old boy, that his mother would inspect him to make sure that he did take a bath. So he stepped into the water. It covered his feet. With his fingers, he dug some of the brown, slimy, soft soap from the pannikin and smeared it on the washcloth. Then he scrubbed himself well all over. The water was warm around his toes, but it felt cold on his body. His wet belly steamed in the heat from the oven, but his wet back shivered, and when he turned around, his back seemed to blister, but his front was very cold, so he washed as quickly as he could, and he got into his warm underwaist and his woolly long drawers, and he put on his long woolen nightshirt. Then he remembered his ears. He took the washcloth again, and he scrubbed his ears and the back of his neck. He put on his nightcap. He felt very clean and good, and his skin felt sleek in the fresh, warm clothes. It was the Saturday night feeling. So notice this again. It's just kind of like homemaking tip number 1 about the traditions and the rituals. This was his Saturday night ritual. It was the Saturday night feeling. He did this every Saturday, and then he had to look forward to the pancakes on Sunday. It says it was pleasant, but Almanzo didn't like it well enough to take a bath for it. If he could have had his way, he wouldn't have taken a bath until spring. And isn't that funny? Because that's just how children are, right? They just, for some reason, they just don't want to take a bath sometimes. It said he did not have to empty his tub because if he went outdoors after taking a bath, he would catch cold. Alice would empty the tub and wash it before she bathed in it. Then Eliza Jane would empty Alice's, and Royal would empty Eliza Jane's, and Mother would empty Royal's. Late at night, Father would empty Mother's and take his bath, and the next morning he would empty the tub for the last time. So let's just pause right there. Once again, this is like with the washing machine in the last video. Can we please all be thankful for our bathtubs and running water or showers or whatever you have? Can you imagine having to get a tub and fill it with water and then empty it and do this once a week? I mean, we just take things for granted that we have. Okay, but here's the part that I mean to get to. Almanzo went into the dining room in his clean, creamy white underwear and socks and nightshirt and cap. Mother looked at him, and he went to her to be inspected. She laid down her knitting, and she looked at his ears and the back of his neck, and she looked at his soapy clean face. She gave him a hug and a squeeze. There, run along with you to bed. So it's not a creepy thing where they're inspecting their kids, but she's just making sure that he presents himself well. And honestly, I think that that could be maybe what's lacking. And I am not saying that I am perfect at this. In fact, I find it to be very hard to just constantly keep up on that with your children. And then the older they get, you just think, oh, they know. But you know, sometimes you do have to look at their fingernails and make sure that they're clean, or the back of their ears. You do have to do this stuff as a parent, and that instills in the child that they do need to take care to have good grooming. And that's something that they'll take with them into adulthood. Life-changing homemaking secret number 7, sometimes their homemaking required them to work into the evenings. Okay, let's have a look at page 286. It says, in the evenings, Mother's knitting needles flashed and clicked, making new stockings for them all. She knitted so fast that the needles got hot from rubbing together, but they could not have new shoes until the cobbler came in time. So I can definitely relate to this, and I'm sure most of you can too. When you have a really long day, but you still have, let's say, a few piles of laundry to fold at night or dishes to do or something like that, you just want to rest, you just want to veg out on the couch, you don't want to do any of it. But sometimes it is necessary to do it at night, just like Almanzo's mother did. So maybe you will fold some laundry while you watch television, or maybe you'll watch a YouTube video while you just finish up the dishes, or whatever it is. But sometimes good homemaking does require you to do it in the hours where you feel like you should be off. And that's true with any job. If you have a job, sometimes you have to work overtime, right? And homemaking is a job, even though we don't really get paid for it. Although we will talk about monetizing it as well in this series. But do you know what I mean? Sometimes you do have to stretch your homemaking into the evening. Number 8, they monetized their homemaking when they could. Now this is the exact same secret that we found in the Little House series, and it just further confirms this observation that they did whatever they could to monetize their homemaking and help with the family income. Now, the Wilders lived on a farm, so of course they were monetizing what they were doing there with the farm, but Almanzo's mother definitely took it to the next level. So let's have a look here in the chapter called Early Harvest on page 238. Mother did not do any bargaining at all. She said proudly, "My butter speaks for itself." So their mother made a lot of butter and she is selling it. Not one sample from all her tubs had a streak in it. From top to bottom of every tub, Mother's butter was all the same golden, firm, sweet butter. Almanzo saw the butter buyer drive away, and Alice came skipping to the bean field, swinging her sunbonnet by its strings. She called out, "Guess what he did?" "What?" Almanzo asked. "He said Mother's butter is the best butter he ever saw anywhere, and he paid her. Guess what he paid her? 50 cents a pound." Almanzo was amazed. He had never heard of such a price for butter. "She had 500 pounds, Alice said. That's $250. He paid her all that money, and she's hitching up right now to take it to the bank." It goes on to say, in a little while, Mother drove away in her second best bonnet and her black bombazine. She was going to town in the afternoon on a weekday in harvest time. She had never done such a thing before, but Father was busy in the fields and she would not keep all that money in the house overnight. And listen to this. It says, Almanzo was proud. His mother was probably the best butter maker in the whole of New York State. People in New York City would eat it and say to one another how good it was and wonder who made it. And just reading that gives me the chills. Honestly, I love this so much. He had so much admiration for his mother and what she did. And don't we all have that when we think of our own mothers? You know, I admire my mother for so much that she does as well. There's something so sweet about Almanzo being so proud of his mother for being the best butter maker in New York and being proud of her for selling it for such a price. And it seems like the whole family just really respects her for that. So I love that, and again, she made that butter and was able to monetize it and make a profit for her family. Life-changing homemaking secret number 9, they were good, shrewd traders. Also known as haggling is an art form. So let's keep on going with Almanzo's mother here. She's very admirable. Let's see what she does here in the chapter called Tin Peddler. It says, Mother brought the big rag bags from the attic and emptied on the porch floor all the rags that she had saved during the last year. Mr. Brown examined the good, clean rags of wool and linen, while Mother looked at the shining tinware, and they began to trade. For a long time, they talked and argued. Shining tinware and piles of rags were all over the porch. For every pile of rags that Nick Brown added to the big pile, Mother asked for more tinware than he wanted to trade her. They were both having a good time, joking and laughing and trading. At last, Mr. Brown said, Well, ma'am, I'll trade you the milk pans and pails, the colander and skimmer, and the 3 baking pans, but not the dishpan, and that's my last offer. Listen to this part. "Very well, Mr. Brown," Mother said unexpectedly. She had got exactly what she wanted. Almanzo knew she did not need the dishpan. She had set it out only to bargain with. Mr. Brown knew that too now. He looked surprised and he looked respectfully at Mother. Mother was a good, shrewd trader. She had bested Mr. Brown, but he was satisfied too because he had got plenty of good rags for his tinware. So she's trading her rags for his tinware. And just notice here, Mr. Brown respected her. Her children were proud of her. She was a force to be reckoned with. Like I said, a tour de force. She knew exactly what she wanted, and she went in there and she was a good, shrewd trader. Now, again, I'm also thinking about my own mom because my mom is like this as well. She is very good at haggling, trading with people and getting the best prices for things. So I just think that that is very admirable. So she is shrewd, she's frugal, she knows what she's doing, and people respected her for it. Number 10, they turned their homemaking into healthy competitions. Let's have a look here at the chapter called Sheep Shearing. So they're shearing sheep, and their father set up a competition for them. When Almanzo came back to the sheepfold, 6 fleeces were waiting, and father spoke to him sternly. "Son," he said, "see to it that you keep up with us after this." "Yes, father," Almanzo answered, hurrying. But he heard Lazy John say, "He can't do it. We'll be through before he is." Then father laughed and said, "That's so, John. He can't keep up with us?" It goes down. I'll read a little further along here. Father beat, Almanzo ran with the fleece and was back before the last one was ready. Royal tied it, and then he said, "We're all through, Almanzo. We beat you. We beat you." Royal and John burst into a great roar of laughter, and even father laughed. Then Almanzo said, "No, you haven't beat me. I've got a fleece upstairs that you haven't sheared yet." They stopped laughing, surprised. At that very minute, the sheep in the loft, hearing all the other sheep let out to pasture, cried, "Bah!" Almanzo shouted, "There's the fleece. I've got it upstairs and you haven't sheared it. I beat you. I beat you." John and Royal looked so funny that he couldn't stop laughing. Father roared with laughter. "The joke's on you, John," father shouted. "He laughs best who laughs last." So that just shows how, for a perhaps unpleasant job like shearing the sheep, if you turn it into a healthy competition where, yeah, they are jibing each other a little bit and making fun of each other a little bit, but it's not mean-spirited. Almanzo got the last laugh. They were all able to laugh about it and roar with laughter about it. So when you have an unpleasant homemaking task, if you can involve the whole family, maybe even make a pleasant competition out of it, you're going to make it more enjoyable for everybody. All right, that concludes part 1 of this video with the first 10 life-changing homemaking secrets that I learned from Farmer Boy. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss part 2. And I can tell you this right now, you do not want to miss part 2. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Daily Connoisseur. I look forward to reading all of your comments down below. Thanks so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.